Alrighty guys, I'm Casey and welcome back to a brand new episode of Into the Farlands. In the last episode, we talked about Let's Plays and some of the games that I actually wanted to Let's Play and how I do my Let's Plays. And in this episode, I wanna move on from Let's Plays and I want to talk about TV shows. Because it's in the news at the minute, it's everywhere you look. Everyone is all about Game of Thrones, and everybody I watch, from my ex to everyone I know, from my ex to my best friends, they all are big Game of Thrones fans. Now, I'm not. And I've watched the first season and I really enjoyed the first season, but when it came to season 2 onwards, I just couldn't really get into it. So I stopped about halfway through season 2. But at the same time, those episodes were watched over a period of about a month, and I struggled to get immersed into it when I'm sort of in and out of something. I prefer to be able to just sit down and do it straight off the bat. So I actually need to make a bed. We do need some more wood soon. Like I talked about my Let's Plays, how I like to go ahead and sit down and get fully immersed into them. I also like to do that with the TV shows I watch. Quite often I will wait until the season finishes of something that I am watching and then watch the entire season, just so I can get immersed. And more often than not, I will actually go back and watch the previous season just before that, so I know exactly where I am. Now, for example, NCIS season 16, I believe, finishes tomorrow. So I'll be able to watch it then. And so I'm currently rewatching season 15. So I can understand exactly what's going on and know exactly where I am, and also get immersed into the world. So I want to share with you guys some of the things that I watch and how they've impacted my life. I'm going to talk about some TV shows that are no longer on the air, and I'm also going to talk about some TV shows that are on the air. So let's talk about one of my favorite TV shows of all time. This was my favorite TV show as a teenager, which is understandable, but not for the reason you may think. You see, I used to watch Charmed, and I love supernatural themed shows. They're my favorite. So I love this. It's about 3 witches who basically are the chosen ones and have to save the world from evil over and over again. So it's your pretty standard chosen hero saving the world. But of course, these are 3 women who are very good looking and very attractive. My favourite was always Piper. And so as a teenager, you would think that it would be the attraction of 3 lovely women that would attract me to it. But it wasn't. I liked the lore. I really, really did like how detailed the lore was. I liked how detailed the creatures were, and the demons and the warlocks and the foes, even so much as I got my daughter into it. My daughter really likes it as well. And unfortunately, it was cancelled after 8 seasons, which was really heartbreaking for me because I loved that show. And it was the first time that a show that I watched had been cancelled that I was aware of. You know, I didn't realise TV shows got cancelled. You know, I didn't know how they ran. You know, and so when it was no longer coming back and it was cancelled, it was my first time dealing with it. It felt like a death in the family. It was really heartbreaking for me. And I would check periodically every year from then to see if this show would be returned. And I still do that with shows that have been cancelled or shows that have ended that I like. I still, every year, I will usually go back and I'll check the wiki page and I'll do a quick Google search and just see if I can find anything that it may be returning. Because more and more now we're seeing shows return. So it's more than likely that some of the shows that I enjoyed may be coming back. Although I don't think Charmed is going to be one of it because they've rebooted the show. So, which I know a lot of people aren't going to watch because it's just a reboot. It's not the original. But I'm going to give it a go and I'm going to see what I think. And maybe I'll enjoy it. Maybe I won't. But I won't know until I actually give it a go. And that brings me on to another heartbreaking one. Supernatural. I love that show. I would, if that show was a religion, I would follow it. I love it that much. I can tell you pretty much every piece of lore about that. I could go toe to toe with pretty much anyone on trivia, you know? I love that show. It's my favorite show of all time. And when it met my favorite cartoon is Scooby Doo, and they did a crossover episode, and I was just in heaven, you know. But they announced that season 15, which is the one that comes out next year, is going to be the last one, the final one. They're not doing any more after that, which is upsetting because I absolutely love this show, but I kind of anticipated it when they dropped the episode numbers from 23 to 20 without a real explanation. I kind of figured that they were slowly weaning fans out and whatnot, but I mean, there's still hope that maybe they might decide not to end it. They may decide to continue it for whatever reason. And that brings me to another show that I've just recently started watching, or should I say finished watching, because I did actually recently start it, and that's Lucifer, which I really, really liked. I enjoyed the show. And the show's basically about the devil takes a break from his throne in hell, and he becomes a police consultant in Los Angeles and runs a nightclub. And it's very sarcastic, very dry humor, and really paints the devil in a different picture, paints him in a good picture, like he's a good person. And some people do believe that the devil isn't really all evil, and other people believe that he's evil, but this isn't about that. This is just about, in this interpretation, it's that he is actually a good person, but it's just things that he perceives are considered to be evil because he obviously revolted against his father. And it's a really fun, and it incorporates not just him solving crimes, but also the supernatural element of his brother, his angelic brothers, and his all these other ones. I don't want to say other things that happen because they're spoilers, but you know, it was cancelled after 3 seasons, and well, Netflix brought it back for season 4, which was awesome. And I'm kind of hoping that they do a season 5. But as of yet, they've not announced either way, whether it was the final one or whether they're doing another one. And that brings me on to another Netflix series that I like, and that's Stranger Things, which isn't really my cup of tea. But, you know, I feel like it's more aliens than actual supernatural elements. And I know that aliens kind of count as supernatural, but I always think supernatural is paranormal. But it's not specifically true. But I really do like the whole idea of a parallel world and an upside down world, and how it kind of works. Now, I don't think it's going to become like a top 5 or top 10 favorite Stranger Things. I do enjoy it, but at the same time, I'm not dying for the new season. I'm just kind of waiting for it. And that brings me on to another show that I used to really, really love, but I haven't been able to get into it this past year, and that's Doctor Who. So I was a fan of the classic series of Doctor Who. I used to watch John Pertwee, Tom Baker, and Peter Davison play the Doctor. You know, my mum watched this show growing up, and she got me into it as a kid. And so when it came back in 2005, I was super excited for it. But unfortunately, why am I saying unfortunately? I have no idea where that came from. Ignore that. Fortunately for me, I knew about this, my mum knew about this, and we watched it, and Christopher Eccleston was a great first Doctor, and then David Tennant picked it up and was absolutely brilliant. And at the same time, Matt Smith, while Matt Smith I think suffered from terrible writing, he was still a good Doctor. And then you had Peter Capaldi, who in my opinion is my absolute favourite Doctor. Absolutely love Peter Capaldi. But then it went to Jodie Whittaker. Now, I was very much on the fence for a female Doctor because it was the first time we'd had one. And I was a bit like, is this going to work? Is this not going to work? But I was very, very hopeful. You see, I didn't think an old Doctor would work, and I ended up loving Peter Capaldi. I thought Matt Smith was too young for the role, but I ended up really enjoying the Doctor. And so I decided that I was going to reserve judgment until I'd seen the entire season of hers, or entire first season. But I don't know what it was, but I just couldn't connect with that Doctor. I just didn't form an attachment to the Doctor, and to be honest, the BBC isn't helping things. You know, Doctor Who doesn't come out on a set schedule every year. It's just kind of thrown into the rotation as and when. You know, an example would be there's no Doctor Who this year. There's none. It's not out until New Year's Day. You know, for the New Year's Day special. And then the first season is some point next year. And these year breaks that they're having in Doctor Who really makes it hard to attach to the character and attach to it. You know, it used to be that it would come out every year around the same time, but then it kind of didn't. And that always makes you feel distant from the Doctor, you know, because it's not there all the time. But, you know, that's just one thing that I watch, and, you know, I was very much for giving the female Doctor a go. But I don't really think it's the fact that she's a woman that's making it that I can't attach to her. It's just the Doctor itself just isn't an incarnation that I particularly like. Bear with me a moment. So, let's talk about some other TV shows. Talk about Doctor Who. I did watch Torchwood, but let's just move the subject from current TV shows. Actually, no, let's keep it on current TV shows, because there are a couple more that I watch. So one of the ones that I watch is NCIS. I only watch the main series. I don't actually watch the spin-offs, and I know that NCIS is indeed a spin-off itself. That's a mountain, isn't it? And it's kind of one of the few cop dramas that I enjoy. And the reason that I don't enjoy cop dramas that much is because they're just so overdone now. They're always super popular, like CSI and whatnot. And so I tend to stay away from them because, to be honest, for the most part, they're all kind of the same. It's just murders and whatnot, and it's the detective that has to interest me more than anything. And we'll get into a couple that I do watch. But yeah, NCIS is one I watch. I really like the character Gibbs. It's really, really weird now, though, because we're losing a lot of characters. Simply because they've been in it for 16 years and they're moving on to other stuff, you know. But anyway, that's one that I watch. I'm looking very much forward to watching the 16th season over the coming weekend, which I was going to do a Let's Play this weekend, and now I've remembered that NCIS is on. Actually, it would have been last weekend for you because I recorded a week in advance. I don't know. I'll have to give that a think about. Decide which I want to do, because I really do want to do a Let's Play. And I think the channel is more important. But anyway, moving on. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is again another show that I really like. That was one that was cancelled and then picked up by another network after being cancelled, which was fantastic. I can't remember what network actually picked that up. It may have been Netflix, but it may have been another one. I'm not sure. But as for current TV shows, I think that's pretty much where it ends for the ones that are currently airing. I am going to give the new series of Charmed a watch and see what I think of it. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. And I did start watching The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which I really, really liked, but I kind of got distracted and it was like, okay, I need to re-immerse myself in that world. I'm going to wait until I can get a day to actually sit and watch it. Because this is the way that I like to do things. I like to fully get immersed into the world when I'm watching it. And it's finding a day to do it, you know. But, you know, I don't particularly like going to the dentist, so I'll probably save it for when I have another tooth taken care of or something. Because I know I've got a chipped tooth that needs to be taken care of, so I'll probably save it for that day so I can look forward to something. That's a bit of a strange ravine gap there, but anyway. Yeah, where was I? Ah, yeah, so let's talk about some TV shows that have actually finished. Some that have ended that I really did like and I really did enjoy. Let's talk about the one that was that kind of inspired the kind of relationship that I wanted with a woman. And that's Ghost Whisperer. And Ghost Whisperer is about this lady called Melinda, played by Jennifer Love Hewitt. And basically she can see spirits after they die. She can see ghosts. And she helps them move on. She helps them move on from this world to the next. And there are more overarching storylines and stuff like that. But for the most part, each episode kind of follows the idea of of moving a spirit on from our world into the light. And the way that her and her husband Jim are, the kind of relationship they have, that's always the kind of relationship that I wanted to have with my wife, you know. They are very loving, very caring, and very much about each other. But anyway, minus the ghost scene though, because I mean, I'm not going to turn a woman away because she sees ghosts, but it is kind of something to deal with, because I don't want to be laid there in bed one night and my wife turn around to me and go, "Honey, I see a ghost next to the bed," because it would scare the living crap out of me. Because yes, I do believe in ghosts, so maybe we'll do an episode talking about that. That might be fun. I've got some ghost stories that I could share with you. Some really chilling ones, actually, and some really strange ones. But anyway, really love the series Ghost Whisperer. I hope it comes back. I think it was cancelled too soon. There was a lot of story untold in that. And I kind of feel that they had more to tell. And then we get on to another TV show that I really, really want to come back. I really want this show back so badly because I hated the ending. I thought the ending was terrible. And that was a TV show called Haven. And my favourite character died at the end. I mean, gone. Dead. That broke my heart. My heart? My heart. You see, I have what they consider a wood-ass accent, and that makes me, by talking sometimes, very idle, and I end up saying words that I don't mean to say. Or I end up missing out particular parts of words. And I'm trying to break that accent, but I've had that accent my whole life, and I'm trying to get rid of it. It's not easy. You know, you suddenly talk one way for 28 years and then you try to talk another way because you think it's harming YouTube. But anyway, back to this. I didn't like the way this ended. I think that the ending could have been better. Could have been a lot better in my opinion, but hey, it was a great TV show. Basically, again, another supernatural based TV show. There was things called the Troubles. And these were afflictions that people would have. Whether it be that they could control the weather, whether it be that every time they cried, ice dropped from the sky, or that when they were feeling low, bad things would happen. And quite often this would be something that would cause a negative effect on the town. And it would be an emotional problem that would set this off. So losing a loved one, missing a partner, you know, anything like that. You know, could be anything that you touch turns to molten steel, you know. I'm trying to remember some of them, but it was a long time ago that I watched it, and I haven't gone back and watched it because I didn't like the ending. But yeah, so, and this lady called Parker would have to help them, and she was immune to these troubles. You find out why she's immune to them and why they don't affect them. One of the troubles was the inability to feel. You couldn't feel anything. That was what one of the main characters had, but he could feel her touch. And you find out later why, and it's a whole lot more than just as simple as it seems at first. But unfortunately, it didn't really do that well in ratings. And again, another show that I absolutely loved, and I thought this was one of the best shows, and if you look at the ratings for this, I'm kind of shocked that it didn't get better ratings. And that was 12 Monkeys. And that show left on, it was one of those that you can either look at it and it ended on a cliffhanger, or you can look at it and it ended perfectly. You know, if they never do another, if they never bring it back or revisit it or anything, I would be completely happy with the ending they gave. As much as I would really love it to come back, because I really love that show. I thought it had some really great detail to it. I mean, the show is basically about a plague that happens in the year 2017. I can't remember the year that the plague actually happens in. But it happens and they're trying to stop this plague. And to do that, the main character comes back in time to try and take out the person who created it. And then he does that, but it kind of evolves from there to being more than just this plague and about a red forest and about destroying time. And it's just a really good detailed. And the way that it does things is it will set in motion things that you will have you asking questions, and then you'll find out the main character actually is the reason you're asking those questions. But I think that it gave us a very good ending. But I do think that there is something else that more to it. I do. I definitely believe that there is something more to it than what we saw. It wouldn't surprise me if in a few years that the creators of it do a spin-off show to it. You know, but yeah, that's just kind of my hope, because I really enjoyed it. I thought the guy who wrote it was amazing, was an amazing writer, and really did it really well. And another TV show that I really like is House. I really do miss that show. I don't think they're going to bring that back. I really don't think we'll see another one of that, even though the ratings were really strong and the cast were really good. I just think that the way that it ended, it wasn't a brilliant ending, but it was also a good ending. And I just think that I think that the characters are done with that. They're moving on from that. For a lot of them. And the show was really good that you can actually still go back and watch it time and time again, and it still be very interesting, because a lot of the time you're not 100% certain what they're talking about, so it doesn't stick in your head as much as something that you understand, and so you get to see them again and again, and it's still interesting. And I have actually been debating going back and watching it. Let's grab some more Wowie here. And anyway, that leads me on to, we were talking about cop dramas, and I want to talk about some cop dramas that I actually watch, or that I used to watch, because right now I believe the only one I watch is Monk. His NCIS. But my favourite one of all time was Monk, and I got really upset when this one ended. It ended at a really bad time and all for me. It was when I was homeless, and it upset me, because I loved that show, and I have OCDs like Monk. I have to touch certain things. I have to align everything in right angles. Things drive people crazy. You know, even right now, the fact that one of my monitors is tipped forward drives me crazy, and I keep going to rectify it, but if I rectify it, I can't see it properly. Part of it is like gleamed with a light, so I have to have it like this, and it drives me crazy. I have to run both taps when I clean my teeth. I have to. I can't just clean my teeth and run one tap. And I have a bunch of OCDs, and I developed them as a teenager, and then I found this show, and it was, for me, it was like a connection that, okay, you know what, I'm not the only person that has these things. Actually, there's a TV show out there with the main character that has all these obsessive compulsive disorders, and he is a genius at solving cases. Now, that being said, another one of my TV shows that I really, really like is Columbo. The reason that Columbo isn't one of my favourites, and the only reason that it's not one of my favourites, is because it's not a whodunit. It's a how do they mess up show. It shows you who did the crime at the beginning of every episode. And even if you skip the beginning of the episode so you don't see who does the crime, he's following usually just the guy who did it, and you could pretty much guess who it is almost immediately. Now, that being said, it is really interesting to see how they messed up and how Columbo figured out they did it. That is really intriguing to me. But that being said, it's not always the best to watch, especially because they're usually about an hour and a half long. They're feature length, a lot of them are. They're quite long episodes to watch. But the good thing is you don't need to get immersed in it. It's not a show like Monk where you get immersed into it. You know, you can pick this up and put it down at any given point, really, because there's no overarching story arcs. Which is good. I think it's good anyway. Nice to have a show like that. Another show that I watch is, or that I really want to watch again. I watched a few episodes as a kid, but I can't seem to find it now. And that's a show called Early Edition, which was a fantastic concept for a show, and I think that another show like that should come out relatively soon, I think anyway, because it had a really interesting concept. And basically you had this guy who'd just been divorced, and he got tomorrow's paper today. Now, that may not sound like much when you say it like that, but think about it. If you got the paper that was due to come out tomorrow, you got it today, you would know what's going to happen tomorrow. You would know what's going to happen today before it happened. And quite often than not, he would use this information to save many lives, to save people who were in trouble, that kind of stuff. And I can't remember what would happen if he would use it for personal gain or if anything bad would happen, but he did have a friend who constantly wanted to use it to trade stocks. And it was a really good concept for a TV show, but it was like back in the late 90s and I just really can't find it anywhere. You know what I haven't tried? I haven't tried eBay. I've tried the English Amazon. I've tried the American Amazon. Because I'm willing to pay up for this. But and by willing to pay up, I'm willing to pay £20 postage to get it to me, which is what it costs usually to order something from America. But it's just a case of if I can find it. So if anybody can find early edition, then tweet me. Please tweet me. And then let's get on to a show that I started watching about a year ago, but I haven't finished yet. And I'm going to go back and rewatch it from the beginning so I can get fully immersed into it. And that's Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I got really immersed into this when I was doing decorating. I redecorated around this time about a year ago. I started redecorating. It'd be in about July time I started redecorating. So good 10 months ago. And I started watching this while I was redecorating. I got really immersed into it. And it was around the time I separated from my wife. But then after I redecorated, my wife had got her own place. And she was sort of staying here but not staying here, if that makes sense. She was staying here while she was moving in. And I was helping her. And we were sorting out the separation and everything. And I ended up going a few weeks without watching an episode. And I completely lost my immersion. So I kind of want to get it back again. Let's cut down this tree because I need some wood. But yeah, it's kind of something that I want to finish. I got about halfway through season 6. And it'd be really interesting to see how that ended because I've got a lot of questions. And that's one reboot I'm not looking forward to. You know, I mean, cast still want to do something with it, and it was only a few years ago that, a couple of years ago, they were talking to doing a spin-off with Spike. So, you know, I'm pretty sure that Buffy the Vampire Slayer fans would be forgiving of the fact that the characters have aged. I think they'd be able to look past that. And even so, there's magic in the world. There's an explanation that they could use to continue it because the cast want to, and have the reason that these characters look the way they do explained in the story. You know, but that's just my opinion. You know, I think that rebooting it completely is a bad idea. Maybe taking another, maybe they're thinking of having a African American. I don't want to sound racist, but it's not racist. They're thinking of having a black girl for the main character. And I don't think that they should have her as Buffy. And that's not because I don't think that she would make a good Buffy, but that's because I think that the world is established, the lore is established. And, well, there's been multiple Slayers before, so why not just have this girl be another Slayer from another place? You know, have her exist in the world and Buffy be out there somewhere. I think that would be, like, the best idea to do. Not to call this a reboot, not to reboot Buffy, but to have a new character and expand on this character and create this character. And I think that would bring a lot of fans back, because I'm attached to the characters of Buffy. I'm attached to the Buffy universe because of the events that I've been through. And if you're going to sort of rebuild all of that, remake that, then I'm not interested. You know, I'm interested in the Charmed remake because it is very different from the original. In fact, so much so that I class it as a spin-off and not as an actual additional add-on. The characters aren't called the same. The concept is very different from what I've read. I may find similarities when I watch it. But as for right now, I'm more than happy to give it a go because I feel like it's a spin-off and not an actual remake. And remakes work good for movies, but they don't work good for TV shows, especially ones that are still rather new. I mean, it was only in the 90s, and I know that's like 20 some years ago, but it's still in the lifetime for a lot of people. Oh, I'm hungry. My stomach is grumbling at me. But yeah, I think that's going to go ahead and call it for this episode because we are coming towards the end of the night. But I will sleep. I will sleep before we do this. And I'm sure there's TV shows I've missed out. Yes, I have. So let's kind of do a speed round of other ones that I watched. So I watched 24. I like 24. I watched Revolution. That was really good till they cancelled it. What other ones do I watch? I think off the top of my head here. Mrs. Brown's Boys, love that show. IT Crowd, watched that, enjoyed that. Walking Dead, of course, I watched Walking Dead, really enjoy that. What other ones do I watch? Trying to think of this, they're not coming to me. Again, Doctor Who, love the classic series of Doctor Who, love the original series of Doctor Who as well. The revival series, sorry. Torchwood, Sarah Jane Adventures. Whew, there's so many. They're not coming to me. There's like a block in my head, but never mind. You've got a good picture of some of the stuff that I watched, so let me know what you watch. Let me know some of your favourite TV shows, which TV shows have had an impact on your life. But guys, oh, Gilmore Girls. How could I forget Gilmore Girls? I love Gilmore Girls. This is an amazing series. A fantastic series about a mother and daughter. But yeah, I think that's going to call it for this episode, guys. So if you've enjoyed the video, please do consider leaving a like. It really helps out the channel. I really appreciate it. So please do leave that like. And click subscribe if you want to see more from me. Guys, in case you want to thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.